Hello, my friends. I hope you guys are doing well. Today was not a good day. I don't know if you guys want to hear about this or not, but I would not be a good schizophrenia advocate if I said, yeah, I have paranoid schizophrenia and every day is great. That would be a blatant lie. So I was feeling very off this morning, and then I was almost at work and I started hearing voices and I started seeing things that obviously should not have been there. And then, of course, I started panicking. So I turned the car around and went back home, and the episode, or whatever you want to call it, lasted about 4 to 5 hours. I was basically useless and couldn't do anything. So yeah, it was not a good day. So I did not work today. I will not be working tomorrow. I will be going back to work on Monday, hoping that with rest, everything will be okay. So that was my day. Can't really tell now. Obviously, I've washed my hair. I used the good shampoo. I did a scalp treatment. I did a hair mask. I washed my face. You can still see it in my eyes a little bit. I was crying for about 4 hours. So, yeah. Welcome to schizophrenia, I guess. What is new? The 100th episode of My Hero Academia is on this Saturday. Are you guys excited? I don't know if you guys watch anime, but if you do, I'm very excited. So I'm wearing my MHA shirt, one of my MHA shirts today. A cable company reached out to me. They are doing a documentary and they're interested in me. I've had, aside from this and the Vice video, I've had 2 organizations reach out to me. One of them was like, we're filming tomorrow, can you make it? And I was like, no, I have to work. That's like such short notice. And then the other one interviewed me and I guess decided not to include me, which is fine. I wish they would have followed up with me and say, hey, we decided to pursue. Like, I never heard from them again, but you know, it happens. So yeah, this cable company wants me to be in the documentary. I'm going to interview with them, very similar to the last one, next week. So don't get too excited about it. I'm trying not to, because they could decide that I don't fit in with their vision or whatever, which is fine. I just do hope that they will. It's a mental health documentary, and I do hope that they will find somebody with schizophrenia, because it's a disorder that needs awareness. So yeah, I have a personal update that I will be sharing on my Instagram at Love Life Liberation on Sunday. So I won't be making a big deal out of it here because it's not relevant to this channel, but if you are interested in that, check out my Instagram on Sunday at around noon. Alright, so the other thing was I finished editing all 3 books of the Enchanters series, Violet, Midnight, Emerald Destiny, and Amber Passion. I have a cover. I have submitted it to Amazon, so hopefully it will be up within the next couple days. So if you can't wait, feel free to check that out on Kindle. I did realize, now that I finished editing this, that at the pace we're going, it's going to take us forever to get through these books. So I am going to try to read a little bit more. We're going to finish chapter 4 today, and then starting with my next video, I'll do 1 or 2 chapters at a time. So let's get started. All right. So we left off with Elias. Elias woke up late in the morning, feeling well rested and refreshed. For the first time in a while, he felt okay. He got up and put some jeans on and walked around the house. He really needed to do something about this mess. He saw the mug on the corner of the dining table and wondered if that was the reason he felt so rejuvenated this morning. It must have been the tea with the herbs that had helped him sleep. Elias brought his hand to his chin, thinking. There was something, a dream he had last night. He silently chastised himself for not being able to remember it. It was significant, he was sure. He could almost place it, but not quite, like a word on the tip of his tongue, the pronunciation of it eluding him. He removed the cup from the table and brought it to the sink. He washed the dishes and cleaned the kitchen. He ended up in the living room again and glared at all the boxes and bags all over the house. He got busy. He had at least 5 pieces of furniture to assemble. Everything was new. He had left all his furniture at the apartment. He didn't want any of it. Once he had a coffee table, end tables, a dresser, and more than one chair at the dining table, he put all his crap away, clothes, shoes, movies. He could actually see that the carpet was tan-colored. Elias looked around. Better. It actually looked like he lived here. His walls were still unbearably desolate, though. He emptied the contents of some large plastic bags leaning against the walls, demonstrating care with each one. He found his favorite paintings and hung them up above his bed, in the living room, around the kitchen, and the bathroom, giving the house some color. He was back in the living room, and the empty wall above the couch caught his eye. Oh, how could he forget that one? He retrieved the last painting from his garage and carefully unwrapped it. One glance at it, and he was lost in the sea of its beauty. The blues, the yellows, the greens, the purples, they all fused together in one mystical masterpiece, the painter of it an absolute crazy person. Elias had to admit that he wouldn't have minded walking around with one ear, though, if he had the talent to bring so many people that kind of out-of-this-world beauty. Starry night. It was well into the afternoon, the time when the sun radiates its orangey light from a distance, at its brightest of the day, getting ready to rest for the evening. He spent a moment looking out the window. The sunlight reminded him of a painting that his Aunt Janine had once shown him. She had captured every element of the bright sun on that canvas, its orange rays so unbelievably vivid they almost looked red. Up until this moment, he had no ideas, no inspiration for his Meet the Artist special unveiling this weekend. He had just been waiting for it to come to him. Now, as colors filled every crevice of his mind, her face was all he saw, her emotions were all he felt. He turned from the window and ran to his studio at the back of the house. Black curtains hid the windows. He made sure to set up the studio the minute he walked in the first time. He kept the walls bare. Other works were not an inspiration, but a pressurization. Staring at the works of art of other men and women, all he would get is a copycat, not an inspiration. He picked up a sheet of canvas leaning on the far wall and set it on the easel in the middle of the room. He always used store-bought canvases, never stretched his own. When he had something colorful in his head, he always raced to the paints. The more preparation he had to do, the more he feared that his vision would get lost in the swirl of thoughts and images in his head. He sat in his swivel chair and began mixing the oil paints on his palette. He smiled as the 2 colors mixed on the knife to create the perfect shade. The expression on his face solidified. He was ready. Impulsively, Elias began to paint. Alright, so that's Elias. Now we have some Jane, and that's the end of the chapter. Alright, here we go. Jane was reading on the couch with Parker bundled up at her feet. She didn't own a television. She'd much rather read at any time of the night. She didn't have a phone. All her acquaintances knew where she lived. No computer either. All that stuff would just take up time. Not that she had that much to do, but she refused to get sucked into the world's problems. She lived in the middle of the most beautiful forest in California. Why waste it? Jane was reading her favorite book for the second time. Not because she didn't own a lot of books. She had a very extensive library. Hundreds of books not even read yet. But she just couldn't resist reading it again. It was a story of love, a forbidden love that brought 2 separate worlds into one. It was senselessly romantic. Jane reluctantly put down the book and got up to relieve herself. She hadn't slept all day today. Her pattern was irregular because of the long nap in the hallway. She would stay up tonight and sleep tomorrow morning, get back on her preferred schedule. She had been reading all day. She didn't take a step before her legs started shaking and her head lightened. She smiled, excited that she was going to embrace the remarkable experience again. She was aware of what would happen next, so she sat back down and waited. The black circles came, and after a few moments, her vision cleared. She took in the scene before her. She was standing in a near-empty room. He was in front of her, sitting in an adjustable swivel chair, his back to her. Jane began to feel warm as she took in the view of his shirtless backside. Settled on a tripod in front of him was a canvas. He had a paintbrush in his hand, the muscles in his arms slightly twitching as he shifted from the canvas to a palette of colored paints and back again. He was so muscular. It wasn't like he was ripped from working out 6 times a day or anything, though. It fit him like it was his natural form. Jane could no longer manage the suspense of it all. His vast body was blocking the canvas, and Jane was very curious. She crossed the room, absolutely quiet, her bare feet gliding silently across the soft carpet. She stood beside him and ignored the urge to squeal at its beauty when she saw it. It was stunning. He had painted a woman with red hair. She was poised in step of a dance. Everyone around her, dressed in fancy clothes, while she was in ripped jeans and a dirty t-shirt, were staring at her. The similarities between Jane and the woman in the painting were unmistakable, but she couldn't believe that it was her. This woman was so perfectly beautiful. Jane couldn't compare her to the person she saw in the mirror every day. He shifted in his chair, sat back, and folded his arms. He traded his brush for a different one and continued. She watched the small movements his body made as he worked, shifting her weight from foot to foot, impatiently waiting for him to finish. When he sat still, Jane looked up, and this time was really taken aback. She covered her mouth with her hand to prevent some loud noise from escaping. There was only one small addition, but it developed the work of art into a masterpiece. The woman was dancing, but just above her vivid red head was a cloud of violet glitter emanating from her like steam. Jane squinted her eyes as he used a small paintbrush to autograph his painting in the glimmering violet color. Elias Linden. Elias. The word seemed to roll effortlessly off her tongue as she silently moved her lips. Elias stood up, but Jane didn't move. He stood behind his chair, hands resting on the back of it, admiring. A wide smile streaked his face. Jane practically fainted from the ease of it. His smile was radiant, like watching a red rose bloom to its full, beautiful potential in the span of a few seconds. Elias opened his mouth to say something. "No!" Jane screamed, grasping his arm. "Don't talk!" It was too late. Elias was already gone. Alright, so that is chapter 4, right? Is that what I said? Chapter 4, yes. I hope you guys have a good weekend. I'll try to make another video, hopefully this weekend. I think I should have time on Saturday. But yeah, we will talk to you then. It is 6:21. As I said, I've had a very rough day. I'm going to eat and go to sleep. So I hope you guys have a good evening, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay.